Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you, everyone. My name is Onisha Williams, and thank you guys for attending and participating in the Black Families of Hutto City Council Candidates Forum 2023. I'm going to give a little bit of information about our organization. We were founded in 2017 to do networking and just networking, social projects, service projects amongst Black families. And we have since grown to have 700 members in our group. And we also have put on events like Juneteenth and beautified and made, cleaned up the Shiloh Cemetery and have had other community projects. And so we are a group that is committed to making a homogenous safe space for Black families, including Black identifying individuals and family, transracial families, biracial families, and interracial families. But we are also public facing, and we have several opportunities for the community to tie in with us. And we appreciate it. Our goal is to make community. And so today I'm going to turn it over to Hope Green, who is going to be our moderator. And she's going to give you the rundown of the rules and the format, and then we'll get started. And if you could also introduce yourself, Hope.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm so happy to be a part of this. Me personally, I am a business owner in the Travis County area. I'm the founder of Emoji's Grilled Cheese Food Truck. We've been probably in every city in Travis County at some point during our 17 years of existence in Travis County. And I currently live in the city of Austin. I am looking to leave the city of Austin as soon as I find a comfortable place, which Hutto is definitely on my list. So I'm kind of excited about that. Since the pandemic, I've actually moved into more training and business coaching. Since the pandemic. So that's kind of what occupies most of my time right now. And I work specifically with entrepreneurship training and life skills training of youth that are aging out of the foster care system and youth that have been recently released from juvenile detention. So that's where a lot of my focus comes, which leads me to lots of community events like this one. So I'm really glad to participate with you guys today. So we're gonna start off with the introductions. So it looks like we're gonna allow maybe like 1 to 2 minutes, I guess, for each person to go through and kind of introduce themselves, give you a little bit of your background. However you guys want to start is cool. I can go by my screen if you want to. I show Marcus up in my top left corner. So if we want to start with Marcus, I'm cool with that.
And I'm going to go ahead and start your timer. 1, 2, ready, go.
So thank you all for having us on this. Turned out to be a nice Tuesday evening. So definitely excited to be here. My name is Marcus Coleman, 37 years old, moved to Hutto in March of 2020. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio. This is the only city that I know. The orange got me because I'm a diehard Browns fan. So Hutto is home for me. I'm a current member of the EDC, Library Board and Emergency Preparedness Task Force for the city. And I currently am a program manager for Texas Association for Realtors and Commercial Development and Young Professionals Network. So what brought me to this point of running for council was I have a background in public health and I have a dual master's in family and community education, nutrition, and organizational management. I was an educator in K-12 for curriculum and instruction design. And then from there, I changed paths to move to the higher ed side, where I was a community liaison director for a community college. And then when I came down here, I was at UT Austin in the School of Business at McCombs as a program manager as well. So that experience that I bring to the city, along with trying to get a grassroots foundation started in 2021 with developing an understanding of the municipal government of the city of Hutto, and wanted to start from there. And then when I to run for council, I decided to throw my name in the hat, and here I am talking to you all. So thank you for having me.
Thank
All
you.
right. Go ahead. Anisha, did you want to, or we can, I guess the next person on my screen is Mr. James Weaver. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Okay, I'm James Weaver, running for Hutto City Council, place 5. Public service is basically the basis of my entire career. Spent time in the Navy as an officer, boarded destroyer on Vietnam. Served 25 years of federal service with FSLIC and FDIC. During that time, I was stationed in, I guess, 5 different states, worked in 10 or 11 different states in addition to the 5 I'd been assigned to. Worked in Guam, territory of the U.S. So I've been all over. I've also worked with all ethnicities that you can think of, from Pacific Islanders, the Orientals, just anyone you want to meet. I've worked with them, and actually had them on my cruise and things like that. I started off in Dallas, or pardon me, in Houston as an examiner, and spent 5 years there. Went to Salt Lake City, to Richmond, to Washington, D.C., and back into Dallas the last time. So those are the various states that I lived in. But during that time that I was with FDIC and FSLIC, we went through the savings and loan crisis. We closed down 120 savings and loans here in Texas in '88. I was sent down here to liquidate the assets that we took over. Had over $20 billion of assets that were in those closed down institutions. They sent me down to Dallas alone.
It's
Had
time.
no other employees. Okay, time's up.
Thank you, sir. Peter, if you want to go ahead and take the next one.
Sure, I'd love to. So my name is Peter Gordon, running for Hutto City Council Place 4. Just a little bit of background on me. Grew up in Utah, and spent most of my life there, at least my younger years there. In my early 20s, I served a 2-year mission for my church. So spent 2 years in South Africa, lived there, came back, went to college, got a bachelor's degree in political science in 1998, moved to Texas in 98 as well. I'm a project manager for Dell Technologies. I've been with them since 1999. And I manage mostly large corporate projects who are looking for servers and do that. I have served on the Hutto City Council for 4 years. I was elected in 2019 and then reelected again in 2020. And service has been a significant portion of my time as city council. I've served on many boards and things within the city. Keep Hutto Beautiful board. I was a member of that. I'm on a membership of the Rotary Club. I'm on the board of directors for the YMCA here in Hutto. So I do a lot of service as much as I can. I've been very privileged to work with Black Families of Hutto in the Shiloh Cemetery Cleanup Project, and that's been a very rewarding experience for me. I've also served with the Boy Scouts of America. So just grateful to have lived in Hutto since 2001. We've raised our family here. We love living in Hutto. Hutto is our home. I've enjoyed the 4 years that I've served on city council, and I really am looking forward to possibly serving another 3 if I'm reelected.
Awesome, thank you. And Ms. Wilcox, you can go ahead and take the next one, please. Introduce yourself.
Good evening, Black Families of Hutto. Thank you for allowing us to participate in your candidate forum. I am 43 years old. I have a degree in mass communications and public relations. I've also done some operational leadership. I have a master's in teaching and learning and educational leadership. I spend my days working with children and families to ensure they have an equitable opportunity in education. I have been in Hutto for over a decade. I've worked for Hutto ISD as a family and community liaison. I've worked for the city of Hutto as the director of community outreach. And I've served on many boards and commissions over the year: Hutto Resource Center, Hutto Chamber, Hutto Women's Alliance, Hutto's Big Event, Volunteers in Public Safety, the Communications Task Force, and many others. My entire life is devoted to service. So moving to City Council Place 5 is just the next step in me serving the city.
Thank you for joining us. Go ahead, Miss Robin. You can go ahead and take the next spot there.
Hi, y'all. Robin, nice to see you. Welcome to my home. I'm do better in public environments where I can feel the energy, but you know, this is where we're at. Thank you so much for Black Families of Hutto for putting this on and giving us another opportunity to reach out to our community. I've been a Hutto resident for 24 years. How I got involved with city council is, you know, it's been a journey for me and my family. We renovated this old house, and then we saw this development, and, you know, try to figure out how the heck our roads and streets are going to accommodate all of the growth. I fell in love with this town a long time ago, and I just want to continue to serve, and I see it as an opportunity to run again for place 1, to step up and show people that, you know, we can continue to move forward. We've been stuck in our past, and we need to move past that. We need to move forward. We need to acknowledge what we've been through, but also take responsibility for what we've done and accountability for what we've done, and make things right for the future growth of this city.
Awesome. I think that does cover the full list of candidates. So we've had everybody's introduction. So thank you so much for doing that. I think we have 2 members that are not present today. That would be Mr. Brian Thompson and Ms. Nicole Calderon, I think it is. So they won't be able to join us today. So as we've gone through the introductions, also welcome to the audience that's here as well. Then we'll have, I'll go through the questions. I'll read the questions maybe 2 or 3 times, and then give each of you guys will have, and correct me if I'm wrong, Miss Onisha, if each person has 3 minutes to answer each question, and then we'll move to the next question. And then once all 3 questions have been answered by everyone, then we'll allow for the audience members to add 1 or 2 questions if we have time at the end. Does that sound about right?
That's correct. And if you do have a question, if you could put it in the chat, and we will select the questions from the chat.
Awesome. Cool. All righty. So the first question, let me read this out, and then we'll get going here. So question 1, so what is your position on the up and coming bond election from the school district, and how do you see the city council working in tandem with the school district to meet the needs of our growing population? I'm just going to read it one more time just for posterity. So the question on the table currently is, what is your position on the up and coming bond election from the school district? And how do you see the city council working in tandem with the school district to meet the needs of our growing population? And we can go in the same order that we went in for introductions, which Mr. Coleman, that brings it back around to you.
Okay, so my stance is, as an educator in a K-12 setting, I know firsthand exactly what the educators deal with on a daily basis, the different challenging needs that they have, but also from a parental standpoint, I understand how a parent who has, let's say, multiple kids in the district, how they're looking at something from an impact in the short term as well as the long term, as well as someone who doesn't have any kids or their family planning. They're looking at it as, how would this bond measure impact their community as a whole, to make sure it's the same Hutto or a growing Hutto that they saw when they moved here. I do believe that the relationship between the school district as well as the city has to be not necessarily repaired, it has to be understood better. There was a good gesture, I won't call it a gesture, but essentially you can look at it as that. It was a nice way of the city mentioning on behalf of the school district a few days ago, I believe, about when Dr. Estrada had a live YouTube video where, and once again, the whole point is to let the voters decide on exactly what they want to do. This is their city just as much as it has ours. So for me, it's not necessarily a dollar value, the intrinsic and extrinsic value of exactly what a bond measure proposes. So you have to understand that ancillary services that are provided, because we don't have a recreation center, our school district essentially serves as a happy place for our kids, parents, but it also needs to be more inclusive to our community, inviting our seniors as well as those that don't have kids, but they want to get to know more about the school, use the facilities as much as possible. That way, certain things won't have such a shock value on the city when you see it just on a ballot initiative.
You have 1 more minute left.
Oh, I thought it was 3 minutes. Oh, I'm sorry. So for me, that
2 minutes was for the introduction, but yeah.
Okay, well, I do like I'll just leave my answer where it's at then. I don't want to take up more time.
Cool. Actually, Onisha, did you want to save all the audience questions till the very end?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, so Mr. Weaver, you can go ahead and answer that same question. If you need me to repeat it, I can read it again for you.
Question to Mr. Coleman, were you done? I was just trying to give you a notice that you had 1 more minute to speak. I didn't mean to cut you.
Oh, no, you're fine. I misunderstood, but I essentially planned it around the 2 minutes. So no, you're fine. No problem.
Okay.
And go ahead, Mr. Weaver.
Okay. I agree that we do need additional space, classrooms, what have you, for the students. I have some concerns with the amount of the bonding issue, but I have not seen building plans, so I can't really offer a lot there. But I do understand that we do need the classrooms. So there's going to have to be some bonding issue for sure. I'm not real sure how the school system is pushing this is going to go over too good with the people. I've had call after call about the way it's being presented, and the calls I'm getting say that the city or the school district needs to explain more about how they're going to build the schools, why they're using certain companies and things like that. Like I said, I have not gotten into it. I have not been able to find exactly who's going to be doing the buildings and stuff like that. But I'm getting a lot of calls from people, and I'm having to tell them, give me time to investigate it and see. But I know that there's going to be some questions come up as far as that bonding issue being passed. And I say myself, they need the buildings. We need to get this going to cover the people in the pipeline, the children in the pipeline coming down to school age. And we're going to have to pass some type of bond, but I'm not sure how much it's going to be. And I heard some people this morning at breakfast talking about how are we going to get this done? Is it going to be able to go through? And we were told that, well, if it doesn't pass this time, it'll come right back in November. So I hope the city and the school bond district is considering a potential failure, because from what I'm hearing, a lot of people are not satisfied with it. And they're going to have to, I think, modify some of the things that they're saying out in the field. That's really all I can tell you about that.
Okay, thank you. And then Mr. Gordon, we'll throw it over to you. Did you need the question repeated, or are you good?
I think I'm good. And so, I don't have an official position on the ISD bond. I think, my personal opinion as a city council member, I don't feel it's appropriate for me to go and advocate for a specific bond that's not done by the city. However, if the bond doesn't pass, then what is the alternative? The alternative is that the ISD is going to have to go and buy dozens and scores of portables, and that's where they're going to be housing our kids. And if you look at the tax rate that the ISD has, it's split into two parts. You've got interest and sinking, INS, and you've got M&O, maintenance and operations. And if they're not able to pass a bond and borrow the money that they need to build all these buildings, then they're going to have to buy portables, and it's going to come out of the maintenance and operations. And that's going to basically take money away from classrooms to build classrooms, because they can't use interest and sinking to go buy these portables. And so, is it a big number? It absolutely is. Is Hutto growing at a phenomenal rate to where we need to build several more elementary schools, build a second high school? Yes, we are. Why is the school district having to do this? Because they're responding to what we're doing as a city. We are growing this city. We are approving home after home after home, 2,000 homes 2 years ago, 800 homes last year. I mean, we are adding just an incredible amount of people to this. And so the school is really responding to the work that we're doing. So what will I do to work with the district? I will do everything I can to bring in more commercial and light industrial and those kind of developments within the city that will increase our ability to spread that tax burden out to where it will lighten that load on the individual residents. I think personally, I think that's the key. I think that's what's within my control as a city council member, to where we can approve a lot of these projects that will help ease that tax burden on the residents, so that it's shared with more of those commercial properties. And we've got one on the horizon that could basically change the face of the city and significantly increase the taxes. So I think that's what I would do as a council member, is do everything I can to help ease that burden on our side.
Very good. And also, I'll just reiterate the question, just to keep the conversation specific to what your position on the up and coming bond election for the school district is. So if Ms. Dana Wilcock, if you want to go ahead and
Sure.
unmute yourself, and there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So the school districts actually bring more people to the city, right? If you have a thriving school district, you'll have more people that want to come in because they want to see amazing schools. If you visit any of the campuses, especially the high school, and see how crowded it is, you will understand the need for more facilities, for more up-to-date facilities, and for more space for classrooms. So we've got rooftops that are coming in, and we've got children that are coming in. We have 3 apartment complexes already, one coming in right across from Farley Middle School. They're going to have children. Those children are going to have to go to school, and they're going to need place for them. I mean, I was a teacher for 12 years. So putting 32 to 40 kids in one classroom because you don't have the space for them is not safe. It's not safe for them. It's not safe for the teacher. It's not safe for our families, because things happen that way. So I am going to say, yes, I am in favor of a bond. The specific bond, I do kind of wish in Prop A that some of the things would have been taken out and it would have been like plastered a little differently. But they need the money. We need safe schools. I mean, it's just simple. If we lower our standards and if we don't service our families and have schools that are functioning, adequate, that keep into technology, if we don't keep up with technology with some of our other school districts, I can go into a whole public education thing. Like, public education is at war. We've got lots of charters coming in. We've got lots of private schools coming in, that are taking the money from the Robin Hood plan. So we don't have all that money that we used to have per student, right? So it's got to be made up somewhere. And I understand how there can be some pushback from our families that don't have kids or that aren't vested in the school district. But if you go to a neighborhood or an area that does not vest in their school district and in their future and in the children, you'll see a totally different dynamic in the city. It will totally change the culture. They are where we start. And they are going to be the ones that are going to be working in the city and taking care of us in the city. So we do want to make sure that we give them everything they need to be positive and productive citizens of society, because they're in our society, they're in our neighborhood. So whether or not I'm going to vote on all propositions, I'm not sure yet. But I do know that the funding is needed.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Alrighty, Miss Sutton, go ahead.
So I want to start with kind of echoing on Councilmember Gordon. It's not my role as a council member to tell the school district how to budget and finance their bonds and their plans. But I also want to say that City Council approves the rooftop. City Council welcomes the developments. City Council, brings in all these developments. And I'm glad that Dana talked about the apartments, because we have more and more apartments coming in. We have a lot of multifamily coming in. And the ISD is reactionary to what we decide. And I think that the ISD needs to be at the planning table when we're approving these projects. And I think there has been this divisive divide between the ISD and the city, as well as with the chamber and other, members of the community. And I think where we have failed the city as a council, maybe as a city, as a whole, this is we haven't fostered those relationships. We have drawn lines in the sand, and we have interrogated, we have attacked, we have accused, and we have thrown stones. But in reality, what needs to happen is we all need to sit together at the same table and figure out how to make Hutto as best, the greatest it can be, because we are like at this point where we can be the best that we can be. And as far as the bond goes, it is a lot of money, but I can see how we got to this point. We're seeing as a city how everything's changed from when we went out for bond to do our roads, 4 years ago, and the cost has changed. We have, everything's changing. And to, do I want to pay more in taxes when I don't have kids now? They've all graduated, but I don't have kids in school now. No, I don't. But do I want future hippos to get the best education and be housed the best they can? Absolutely. And I just think that it needs a partnership and a collaboration amongst all the entities working together to make the right plans and put the right developments in the right places and find the right areas for future schools and education. As far as, I was taking a note, I'm super excited about what's happened with
Time.
Okay, sorry. Sorry, Anisha. Yeah, okay.
You're fine.
No worries.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for your participation in that. We're going to move on to question number 2. I'm actually going to give you a little background on this one. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Is that somebody's mic? Maybe we need to mute. Okay. All right. Okay. So, so a little background on the second question. In March of this year, the city of Hutto lost a $12.5 million lawsuit, which was in part a result of racial discrimination against the former city mayor, who is a Black man. Additionally, Black Families of Hutto has submitted 2 formal requests to the city of Hutto to develop a strategic plan to address disparity and lack of inclusivity of Black citizens in the city of Hutto. Once in 2020, which led to the development of the Advisory, Diversity, and Inclusion Commission, and again in 2021. And to date, the council has not responded by developing a strategic plan. So our question to you all today is, considering Black citizens deal with local concerns, and one specific example we'll give is what's happening in our own city hall, and also on a national scale. There was a young man by the name of Ralph Yarl, a Black teen who was recently shot in Missouri when he rang a doorbell at the wrong house. So please share your thoughts on how you think the current mayor and city council have handled issues that impact Black citizens. If elected, do you plan on addressing issues that impact Black and minority citizens? And I'll just reiterate, because I know we're bringing up this example of Ralph Yarl in Missouri, but I personally have 2 examples of my own that I experienced that I could bring to the table if you guys want that information as well. So, that's just an example. So to kind of help keep it center, then we can do that as well if you need that information. So if elected, how do you plan on addressing issues that impact Black and minority citizens? And we'll go ahead and again go through our same, you guys probably know your number by now. So go ahead, Mr. Coleman. And again, there's 3 minutes for each question, for you to answer each question.
I'm waiting on her cue.
Good.
Now, it's one of those things where, unfortunately, because I am the only person that looks like me on this panel, it touches a different nerve because I'm also on both sides. And I think one of the disconnects is people can only reach what they know from their perspective. So you can't expect a middle-aged white man or older white man or anybody that doesn't look like you to know what your experience is. Now, it's also important that we do a good job of understanding exactly what the community needs are coming from those that are experiencing it, whether it's through community policing. So one of the things that we need to start with, which was essentially what brought about the D&I Commission, is understanding what is the long-term plan in terms of how does that work from a grassroots standpoint, where funding could be allocated from the city to put different initiatives out there so the community can start feeling that the reflective population is starting to look like those in city, which we do have a very diverse city staff, which is amazing because a lot of cities don't have that. So it starts there. It's the top-down approach. My experience with Mayor Snyder or anybody on council has been good because that's the type of energy that I give, but I can't speak, nor will I try to speak for someone else's experience. That's the whole beauty of it, is that it's not your job to speak for people, but it's your job to provide a platform and provide the resources so Black Families of Hutto or any other organization that feels like their voices aren't being heard or marginalized or being able to put themselves in a position to where the representation for those that make elected decisions or policy, influence policy, looks like the community that serves them. So the kids that are growing up can have something to aspire to, which is very important. And it's not just always seeing us in a certain light that the media portrays. So we have to start there. And local politics is a huge part of it. Getting the kids active young, getting those active from the standpoint of understanding, not only from a voting, but hey, this is your community. I want you to see it from the lens of a Black woman or a lens of a Black male, and understanding what it's like to not have to be afraid of a police officer simply because they pull behind you. So the Hutto police haven't made me feel intimidated. Chief Yarbrough has been amazing. And that type of energy that he has does trickle down to the staff. We have had a lot of bad apples from years of what I've seen from YouTube videos, unfortunately, and different news articles. You're on mute. Is that my time? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So Mr. Weaver, we'll have you go ahead and give your response. So if elected, how do you plan on addressing issues that impact Black and minority citizens in Hutto? Oh, I think you're still muted, Mr. Weaver. I have to click your mute button off. No, you're still muted. We can't hear you yet. There you go.
Okay, there we go. I think we got
Awesome.
it now. Sorry about that. Well, as Marcus said, we have to approach this as each person individually. I'm an OWM, old white man. I mean, I'm going to have a different approach than what Marcus would have. But I would like to say that I've been known to work with all races and ethnicities for 30 years. And as far as I know, I never had a problem with any reports of bad treatment or anything else. I can understand where some have. And for that, you have to be willing to step up and report. Sometimes that's not done. And if we don't know about it, if I am one of the councilmen, if we don't know about it, there's nothing we can do. What we need to know is what happened, when it happened, who was involved, and then we can do some investigation on it. And I think basically that's similar to what Marcus was saying. He's laid it out pretty close there. But if we don't know about it, there's not anything we can do about it other than be sure to point out to each individual officer, whoever works up in the office with us, be careful of how you address people, because that's going to be your responsibility. And if you're not addressing people properly, we're going to end up in problems, having problems all the way down the line. And it can be from either side. But I don't know. It's I never found it to be a hard situation to live with myself. I never did. But I know some of the guys that I used to work with did. Now, to say there's not racism, nah, there's racism. It's all through the country. It's not as bad as it was when I was a kid in high school or even earlier than that. But it's still there. And we have to realize that it's there and work to get rid of it. And it's going to take years. We've been at it. I'm 75 years old. I've been at it for that long. And it's still out there. We haven't gotten rid of it yet. And I don't think we will ever get rid of all of it. But hopefully we can address the big issue of it. Now, you mentioned the lawsuit that was lost. I dealt with lawsuits I had over 10,000 lawsuits in those $20 billion of time up. Okay,
Yeah.
time's up.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, Mr. Gordon, it is on you. So if elected, how do you plan on addressing issues that impact Black and minority citizens? Or if you're reelected, I should say.
There was two parts to that question, and I just want to be fair. If anyone else wants to readdress it, it was two parts. So if you could read the question, so that way it's more clear. And if Marcus or James want to chime back in, you guys can both get a minute if you didn't feel like you could address it fully.
Okay. So the question again entirely is, considering Black citizens deal with local concerns, such as what's happening in our own city hall and national incidents like Ralph Yarl, a Black teen who was recently shot in Missouri when he rang a doorbell at the wrong house. Please share your thoughts on how you think the current mayor and city council have handled issues that impact Black citizens. Sorry, I left that part off. The concerns about how the current mayor and city council have handled issues that impact Black citizens. Marcus or James, did you have anything that you wanted to add on that specific topic about the current?
Well, I'll let him answer, then I'll answer if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay. You mentioned earlier that there's been some requests sent in by the Black families of Hutto, and you've never received a response back.
Right.
That is a bad situation that needs to be addressed. And I think that if nothing else, all council members should be working toward getting responses to those requests that you sent in. I'm not sure what they are, but I'm sure if I get elected, I will be finding out what they are. And up to this point, they haven't been addressed to you, and that's not right. There should be something that has come from the city back down to you addressing those particular issues that you brought up. And I will make every attempt I can to get it brought back up, discussed, and get some response back to the Black families of Hutto. Now, I don't know how to address a child getting shot. Well, go ahead.
Thank you.
Okay.
So we'll just do an additional minute. Does that sound feasible, Anisha?
Excuse me?
Just an additional minute to give Marcus a chance to respond to that other part of the question. Okay, so there you go, Marcus.
So I also want to add that it's important that the questions not only get answered, but we actually need to have practitioners that actually, I wouldn't even say that actually know what it means to get a community to understand what diversity, equity, and inclusion looks like without it being associated with a certain stigma attached to it. So once you eliminate those barriers by having people say, we got to tear the cover off, like it's gonna hurt. The same way we talk about traffic, the same way we talk about safety, we have to look at it from that same lens with how we look at each other in the community. I still don't feel comfortable jogging in my own neighborhood at nighttime. I haven't done anything. It's just a simple, it's a feeling that you can't take off. But if my neighbors understand that from economics, from how we engage with our children, our certain type of personalities we have, it'll help.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. So I'll give you those two questions again, Mr. Gordon, and we'll get started with you. So in response to how the current mayor and city council have handled the issues of Black citizens or the impact on Black citizens, and also if elected, how do you plan on addressing issues of that of the minority citizens?
Okay, thank you. So for the first part, how the current mayor and council handled current issues. So I think one of the things that we have done that I'm really proud of is bringing in Dr. Del Carmen and working through our police department to make sure that the police are doing everything that they can to follow the law, to make sure that they're not doing racial profiling, that they're not doing those kind of things. We've actually had a really, really good report just this past, I think the past month that we received that report where there were 0 incidents of racial profiling reported to the city. I think that's great. I think we've got a wonderful police chief in Chief Yarborough who was really leading by example his department, and he's doing everything that he can to make sure that we are doing all that we can. They offered city council members to go through that same training that the police officers went through. I took advantage of that and I went through that, learned a lot. It really opened my eyes as to things of, a lot of assumptions that we as individuals can tend to make. And so it really opened my eyes. The other thing that really has educated me a lot is being a member of the Hutto ISD's diversity inclusion. It's used to be a task force, now it's a full-fledged committee where I've learned a lot. And I think probably the biggest thing that I've learned in that is how much that I really don't know and that I don't understand. Things that I thought I've known and understood all my life, but really I don't. And so that's opened my eyes. I think that our Diversity and Inclusion Commission on the city side could learn a lot from what the ISD is doing. In fact, I've talked to the ISD and asked them if they would be willing to kind of mentor and train and kind of help our D&I commission. They've said that they're willing to do that. I don't know that it's ever happened. I don't think it has, but I think that would be a great place to start. What's been helpful, I think, on the ISD side is they've actually hired an individual who has experience in that. So having somebody at the city who would have that same experience, I think would be very helpful as well. And so I think we're doing what we can, but we're certainly not doing enough, and we could do more. As far as addressing the specific requests from Black families of Hutto, I would be very open to having some kind of a work session where we could work together in person. We could dialogue and work together rather than, like trying to do some kind of a response via email or that kind of thing. I would love to see us have some kind of a dialogue to where we could go through, what the concerns are and talk about those. So that's how I would address it going forward.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Miss Dana Wilcott, if you'd like to go ahead, the first part of the question, how you feel that the current mayor and city council are handling the issues that impact Black citizens, and then also, if elected, how do you plan on addressing issues that impact Black and minority citizens?
Well, I'll go back to the strategic plan that the Black families of Hutto requested from the city. So the council didn't have a strategic plan for themselves. So having one for how they address minorities would have been almost impossible. I think it took them a while to find their footing, and they're still working on a mission, a vision, and what they actually want to get done for the city. I do think that there should be some cultural pedagogy there. And I actually do workshops on cultural pedagogy with our teachers. In Hutto ISD, I did it, and I currently do it in Pflugerville ISD. What they don't know, they don't know. Sometimes you can claim ignorance, but once you put it in front of them, then it can't be ignorance anymore. I think they need to have like some workshops and trainings on it. I think some of it is just plain old being professional and respectful of others, no matter who they are. I do think that with community policing, we have done a little bit of a better job. I think a big part of it is having diversity on the DS. I would be the first African-American female to serve on Hutto City Council when I'm elected on May 6th. So bringing my voice and the pedagogy that I can about minorities will be crucial to the dais. I think the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee needs to be inclusive of other families. We do have several Asians and Indians moving into the area from Samsung and some of our other developments that were coming in. So I think Onisha, she's so good about minority families. We've got to make sure that they feel welcome and wanted when they come in. So I think it starts from there. And as far as the strategic planning, they can't make a plan because they don't know. So it's got to start with that pedagogy and, the differences, and even some of just the cultural interactions that we have. So it starts there. It starts with the vision. And I would love to see more. The D&I committee, y'all, I'm just going to be honest. I think it was put into place just to kind of hush families up. Like, okay, you want diversity, let's throw this commission at you. And now you can be quiet because we're doing something. But what are they really doing? What have they really done so far to support this commission, to grow this commission? I know that the last one, they couldn't even make a quorum because people didn't show up. So there needs to be more involvement, and we have to take it seriously so that people get involved. There was a question in the chat on what is pedagogy. It's just another word for teaching. It just means teaching them how to be culturally responsive, culturally sensitive, to other. You're so welcome to other cultures coming in, and they're going to have one whenever Samsung opens, because we don't want to disclude those guys. We don't want to make them feel like they're unwanted. Even just simple gestures that would be considered disrespectful. Is my time up?
Yes.
See, I knew I was going to get cut off on this one. I could talk all day about cultural pedagogy. I'll be quiet now.
Thank you so much. Alrighty, Miss Sutton, if you want to go ahead and take it, we have the dual question with what is your thoughts on the current mayor and city council and how they're handling issues that impact Black citizens? And then if you're elected, how do you plan on addressing issues that impact minority citizens? Or re-elected, I should say. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I want to come out and say that I was at the council meeting when the D&I was created, and Renisha was there, and I met her that night, and I was a citizen at the time. And I think we were going through these growing pains as a city, as a whole. Everybody wanted to do the right thing, but we didn't know how to do the right thing. And everybody was trying to define what the right thing is. And I think currently our city council and our mayor have failed. And I'll go on the record as saying that. And I've had people say, you're the first city council member that say you failed. I think we have failed in our commitment to the African-American community in Hutto. And we need to do better. And I think that as we get more educated, and I've said this many times, and I've said this to Onisha, it's like, and I've said it to Dana, I don't know what it feels like to be a Black woman in today's society. I can't, because I'm not. I don't know what it feels like to be a Black man in today's society, because I'm not. And I know I need to be educated. So I think that's where it's going to start. I'm a very empathic person. I love people. I believe that as a city, we can grow and do better. As far as the second part of the question, what was the second part?
Is this specific to you, and what would be your plan or some ideas that you have on how you would address the issues of minority citizens?
I think getting together and having more open communication, just like we do, we need to have with the ISD, the ESD, and with the chamber. And what do y'all need from us as a council? What can we do? What can we bring to the table for you? How do we, because if we don't know what you need, we can't put it on the agenda. We can't. But I think it's going to need to be more engagement on both sides, a safe engagement where you feel like you're being treated fairly, properly, and respectfully. And I say that in a humble way. I think that there has been a lot of turmoil the last 3 years between all the different entities that reside and thrive in Hutto. And it's time for us to start collaborating to make everyone feel welcome and be part of the community and not feel like they're outside of the community. And that's just, is that my time?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Yes.
Megan,
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for that, that feedback. Okay. And so question number 3, I'll read that out for you guys. What are your plans to position the city of Hutto to grow beyond being considered a bedroom community regarding its growing need for infrastructure and business/retail development beyond the fast food chains that we may see these days? So we'll go ahead back to the beginning of the line, Mr. Coleman.
So that's definitely a great question. As a current member of the EDC, as well as a business owner and someone who's very much into health and wellness, this is one of those questions where it really bothers me because the diversity of our retail is centered around a lot of the same type of fast casual, different things that are centered around a path towards low wage in terms of the people that work full time. Unless they're living with someone, unfortunately, they wouldn't be able to afford to live in Hutto or any other surrounding communities for that matter. So one of the things that I wanted to focus on is investment into small businesses for locals. So you can do that through different grant incentivizing programs at the state level as well as the county level. And then also diversifying our tax base for durable and non-durable goods, because those are things that are recession proof and things that in an economic downturn, you won't have to worry about where that business is coming from. Because when people are financially insolvent, the first thing they do is give up their leisure. So they're not spending as much money on retail. So they're finding different things to do internally, but we still have to function and still provide the same level of services to our residents. So diversifying our tax base through commercial, non-durable and durable goods, but also healthcare facilities that are actual healthcare facilities. Not, we have a lot of redundancy in our city and a lot of cannibalization where we have a lot of dental clinics, we have a lot of the same types of restaurants. So eventually they're all competing for the same dollar. So that's good for the city to say you have this business, but as a business owner, I'll say it firsthand, we don't want to see a bunch of businesses that do what we do, because it's hard for us to work together because we're essentially fighting over the same dollar. They're just not going to say that out loud. So that would be my priorities, but also doing it in a way that maintaining a balance to employ our teenagers, because a busy mind is a busy body. So, and that can go good or that can go bad. Now, as someone who's had to work since they were 10, not by choice, but it was just something that my mother told me I had to do, you appreciate it, but you also understood the value behind it. But a teenager that's not employed, that's when you start finding the increases in the crime, and it places more of a burden on our public resources with our taxes, because now more policing is required, more parks and recs cleanup is required. So I will focus on diversifying our tax base through durable and non-durable goods and incentivizing small businesses that are local to the city.
Tom.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Weaver, it's on you.
Okay, the plans for growing, so we'll outgrow this quote bedroom community thought. I think what we're doing right now is in the right frame. We're going into the light industrial stuff, and Marcus knows quite a bit about that because he's on the EDC. He knows what I'm talking about. Also, we have brought in several large companies right now that not large in numbers of workers, but large in value. And one of those, I think, is going to be Evo. And one of the others is the center out there at the I can't even remember the name of the place right now. The one that has all the computer-based service company. And those guys at the data center, seems like it's just going to be a couple of hundred people working there, but they're going to bring in as much value as what we've got right now on the books for the whole city of Hutto. So the tax value will greatly increase once they're here. That should help out in a number of different ways. The tax base on the schools, the tax base on the city should be assisted very much and take a lot of that demand off of the people. As it is right now, rental properties, when taxes go up, rental properties don't get an exemption. If the value went up $50,000, the taxes are going to go up that like amount for the $50,000. You don't have a 10% cap on it per year the way they do right now for homestead properties. So anybody renting, and they have, our taxes or our values have doubled in the last couple of years. They're starting down now again, but let's say you're looking at a doubled value, your taxes are going to double from what you're paying right now, and that is passed directly on to the renters. So renters are in a very, very precarious position based on value of property. If we can get these other companies in here, which they are coming, and we've already got a couple of them very committed to setting it up and going. That should help us as far as a city, bringing the cost down to get things more reasonable for the lower income people. And the apartments that we're having here right now will be able to hopefully be able to reduce their rents some and provide housing, reasonable housing for the people.
Oh,
Thank
can
you
you
so
repeat
much.
the question?
Yes, ma'am. And Mr. Gordon, it's over to you. And the question is, what are your plans to position the city of Hutto to grow beyond being considered a bedroom community regarding its growing need for infrastructure and business retail development beyond fast food chains?
So I'll address the infrastructure piece first. So the city council has invested a significant amount of resources and time into doing master plans this past year. So we did a comprehensive plan for the entire city. We did a water master plan, we did a wastewater master plan, and we did a road study that we studied and surveyed every single roadway within the city. So we've done a lot of planning. We kind of know what our needs are and what we need to do to move forward. And then now what we've started to do is actually move forward with some of those things to make sure that we're not going to fall behind. And so we've invested, or at least not invested yet, but we authorized $50 million in water and wastewater projects, and we're moving on those as quickly as we can.
Dirt on your nose.
We
No.
borrowed, I think, 25 million plus an additional 17 million for roads that we're starting to work on. And so we're making progress in some of those things. But what we really need to do as a council is, and work closely with our Economic Development Corporation, is to incentivize the right companies to come to Hutto. We're not going to incentivize every single person that's going to come. In fact, we've had some companies come and say, hey, you know, if we come, we can bring this particular person or this particular retailer in, and we've told them, you know, no thanks. Try again, get us something different. And then they come back and said, well, how about this? And that sounds a lot better. And so I think in incentivizing the right ones and doing performance-based incentives that will get the right businesses to come in, that will help us get out of that bedroom community mentality. So Academy Sports and Outdoors was a huge win for us. I think that's going to be a big one. The Prologis data center is going to be just a game changer for the city of Hutto. It's been said right now, the total taxable value of the entire city added up is about $5 billion. Prologis, when fully built out, will be between $5 and $10 billion just on its own. And that company will add very, very little to our to our burden, because they're not a large water user, they're not a large wastewater user, they're not going to have a ton of employees, and so they're not going to be adding traffic to our roads, and yet they're going to be adding all this value. So we need to be going after those kinds of businesses, and that will be the biggest thing, I think, in my opinion, to make the greatest impact for the city of Hutto and for the citizens here, to where we can keep that tax burden lower on the citizens. We can put it more on the burden on these companies. We incentivize them the right way, and then we can get the ones that we want. We've got the mega center land that we're selling off to the people who are coming in to want to be close to Samsung as well. So a lot of great things on the horizon. We just need to follow through with it and get it done.
Awesome. Sounds good. All righty, Miss Wilcott, it's your balls in your court.
Okay, so I have 3 top priorities for managing growth. One is definitely infrastructure. I don't think we're a bedroom community anymore. I think we've surpassed that by now. So now we have to manage growth, which we probably should have been doing, but anyhow, we're here. So infrastructure, right? We need a traffic study, which Peter said that we're doing. So that's great. We've got some plans coming out for, this bridge coming over the Brooklands, going towards I-30. We still have lots of roadways that need to be repaired. There should be like an ongoing road repair maintenance monthly schedule of roads that are being repaired. Public safety, I think we need to make sure that we are competitive with our salaries and retaining and training the best police officers possible to keep us safe. I think we also need oversights in the new developments. I am in a house in the Brooklands that I'm about to move from because of taxes. I'm being priced out of my rental. Like many other families, it's hard for a single family to survive in Hutto these days. And here alone, I've had several issues that I've had with the development. Y'all, stupid stuff like forgetting to insulate the first floor of a whole house and it being sold like that. I mean, we need to have more oversight of what we're building to make sure that there's integrity in what we're building and what we're building will last. I do agree that we have lots of food places now, so we should focus more on the service industry and getting more businesses that will come out for service. We've got to finish up that co-op. It's been in the plans for like 7 years now. We do need to support our downtown businesses. Those are our small business owners. Those are our neighbors. Those are the ones that our kids play, football and soccer with. So we need to maintain support for our small businesses. And, that's it in a nutshell. We need infrastructure, public safety, oversight of these developments, and to continue to support our small businesses as we grow. And Marcus, I totally agree with fast food because I'm sitting here gaining weight as I try every new restaurant. So I feel you on that.
Thank you. Thank you. All righty, Miss Sutton, it's on you. Did you need me to repeat the question?
One more time.
Not a problem. What are your plans to position the city of Hutto to grow beyond being considered a bedroom community regarding its growing need for infrastructure, business and retail development beyond the fast food restaurants?
Okay, so I'm going to take a whole different turn on this. I think the city's reputation is what's hurting us the most. We have been a revolving door for city managers and city staff. We have had a reputation for litigiousness, and we have, weekly or bi-weekly council meetings where a city council attacks each other. So I think that at times we don't take into account on council the number of prospective businesses that want to hear, watch us and see what we're doing. And if we're going to make it more difficult for people to come here, why would they come here when they can go to Pflugerville, or they can go to Round Rock, or they can go to Taylor? So I think with our new city manager, we're moving in the right direction. and he's doing the right things to bring stability to City Hall. I think we need a more mature and professional council that can sit together, listen to learn, listen to educate ourselves, and maybe speak to educate somebody else. But you have to have somebody else wanting to hear what you have to say and what you bring to the table. And I think the quality that I bring to council as a different type of leader is more of an empathetic person who tries to hear and feel what's happening at the time. As far as infrastructure, been preaching about it since 2019. We got to get on top of it. We have failed at the mega site over and over again for not putting in roads and infrastructure there so businesses want to come there. We have this mentality that everybody wants to come to Hutto because Hutto is special, but we have to work on making Hutto special. We have to make them want to come here as well. It's not just, hey, we're in this prime spot, come to Hutto. I think we failed as a city also when we did not put on ramps and off ramps on the toll road. We don't have access roads. We don't have any of that because the city decided 10 years ago not to invest $1 million to get that in. And that would really impact our traffic on 79 if we would have done that 10 years ago. So for me, if we're not forward thinking, yes, we have pressing problems now we have to take care of, but we also have to think 10 years in the future, 15 years in the future for the people that are coming, just like the ISP has to think about 10 to 15 years in the future.
It's time.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hope, I just want you to know there was an oversight in my planning. I have it going until 8:30, until 8 o'clock, right? So we have time for one question. Do you want me to pick it?
Sure. Do you mind if I have just a couple seconds, just to kind of offer some information for some of the things that were brought up in the conversation?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Also with my organization, I am actually in the process of developing a apprenticeship program, speaking much to what Marcus mentioned earlier, and then also I think Ms. Sutton touched on it a little bit. When I had my food business, I specifically employed homeless teens, and I worked with youth that are aging out of foster care and recently released from the juvenile detention center, which impacted families in Hutto, families in Round Rock, and other families in those specific areas. And so now that I'm no longer doing the food business and I'm more focused on the work with the homeless teens, I'm working with I'm building a network of employers that want to hire youth that go through our apprenticeship program, which will include the life skills training, the entrepreneurship training, and the job skills training, so that they will be better hireable by these specific employers. And so if you guys want to have further conversations after this meeting, I would love to even set up a pilot program or to work with businesses to get them added to the network, that will definitely directly feed into the city of Hutto for youth that want to go through that specific program. I've got the material, what do I want to say? I'm drawing a blank right now, but there's a developed program there. So there's a certification program already in place that we can use to help with the questions that were raised about keeping the youth busy, getting them employed, and then also equipping the next generation to be ready to move in. And so to Ms. Onisha's concern, we can take a question do we want to take a question from the audience? But if you want to go ahead and pick it, Onisha, that's great.
I would actually like to allow the candidates to pick which question they would like to ask. There's three, really. If you guys want to look for 30 seconds and you want to answer, there's a question, what are your thoughts on no new tax revenue? That's one. The second question is, how do you combat the animosity amongst current leaders and the rest of the business community, including the ISD and the chamber? And I'm sorry, I was accidentally typing. And then the third one, I guess, would be to the current sitting council people, which is how did you vote on continuing the D&I committee? And that was the background on that was that there were former commissioners who asked for the D&I commission to be suspended to be trained. And the question is, how did you vote? So I will give you all the opportunity to answer one of the three if it applies to you. How do you feel about the no new tax revenue? And that I'm with limited information is what I believe the mayor is proposing. And how do you combat the animosity amongst current leaders and the rest of the business community, including the ISD and the chamber and the county? And then if it applies, how did you vote regarding suspending the D&I commission or continuing it? And we'll get to like 1.5 minutes here because we're low on time to give you guys your closing statements.
Okay, I'll go as if I'm reading the side effects of a medication at the end. We ready?
What does that mean?
No, I'm saying I'll go fast.
I'll go fast.
There you
Okay.
go.
Yeah.
Okay. Go.
Okay. So I'll take the question regarding the no new revenue. I think part of it is that we have to do a better job at understanding how to make use of the money that we do have. You know, anybody that has too much of something, it's like a hoarder's mentality where you find places for stuff to go. If you have too big of a home, you find more things for places to go. So in our case, one of the problems is we have too much money going towards the ESD, and there's not enough oversight there. We focus a lot on the ISD, but the public safety standpoint from where the ESD has in terms of the revenue share that they have, that is a huge impact on our taxes. But I think it's important that we understand that as we're entering a time period where we're about to enter a recession, we have to make use of every dollar effectively that we currently have without opening or building upon any capital projects that aren't already in the works, but also making sure that no new revenue rate, which I'm in favor of, not increasing our tax base, making sure our seniors are taken care of and not priced out of their homes, but our current homeowners that our families can't afford anymore with inflation and the cost of living as it currently stands. So that would be my approach, is no new revenue rate.
That's time. Thank you.
And I think, Ms. Sutton, I think you were going to attempt to answer that as well.
Yeah, I think I'm going to hit all three. Actually, no new revenue is putting all of us into a hold and not allowing us to think bigger and to expend resources where we need to expend them. We've come through a tight time. I think that regurgitating a certain political stance is not the right thing for Hutto right now. And I think that has been basically what's happening. Anisha, yes, I voted to keep that D&I together just because I thought there was an opportunity to grow it and build it. And with Crystal coming in and being, the liaison, I thought there was an opportunity. I think there's still an opportunity there. And I do think that it needs to expand and get more educated as far as that goes. But what was the third one? Oh, combat animosity. We just have to sit down and be friends, y'all. We all love Hutto. We all have to sit down and work together. And we have to stop casting stones into glass houses, or from glass houses, I should say, and just say, hey, guess what? I don't have all the answers. maybe you can help me find the answers. Because I'm not the expert in what the ISD does. I'm not the expert in what the chamber does. I'm not the expert what the ESD does. We have to sit down together and stop fighting one another. And I think that's the solution. So
Thank you. That's time.
Awesome. And now we can go ahead and open it up for closing statements. And let's
To answer
go ahead.
any
Did
of-
you have
The others should have changed.
Are we all gonna get a chance to answer them, or are we just gonna?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll go next. I'm in favor of the NNR, no new revenue rate. That is a rate I've heard some people say is not a true rate. It is. It's handed down by the tax assessor. It comes in from him, and that's the rate that where we don't increase over what you paid last year, the individual people. The new homes that have come in during this past year, yes, they will get the new rate, which is higher. But your no new revenue rate applies to the ones that were here last year. The same houses are considered, and there's no new increase in revenue on them. As Marcus said, the more money you have, the more you're going to waste. Big house, you're going to fill it up with everything. We cannot spend the money that we took out in bonds last year. We have not spent all of it. And at that time, they were wanting to get, well, I think the first request was 60 or $70 million. We said, we can't spend that much in a year. We have never spent that much in 1 year, and it's not going to happen. And it has not happened. We're way down in that. We do need to increase some spending, yes, so we can keep this thing going and get the roads finished, get stuff working there. But I want to say something about what Robin said about we need to be friends. We're not friends. We're not friends up there. We're working colleagues. We need to remember that.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Gordon, if you want to go ahead and address those three questions.
Sure. And we've got how long? Minute and a half?
Correct.
Okay. So I'll try to hit as much as I can. So no new revenue rate. I'm open to voting for the no new revenue rate if it makes sense. I am not one that will commit to vote a certain way before I hear all the facts and the information. I will not do that. And I'm committed to say that as a council member. I don't do that on anything else. I don't commit to vote a certain way on zoning. I don't commit to vote in a certain way on some other and any other measure that comes before me until I've received it in the packet. I've received the information that has been presented to me, and I can vote with an understanding of where we're coming from. And so for me to commit to a no new revenue rate here, I absolutely will not do that. However, I voted for the no new revenue rate 3 times in a row for the past 3 years. And why did I do that? Because we heard from the city staff and they explained to us what they're going to do with the money. And in fact, last year, the decision was between 42 cents and 44 cents. The no new revenue rate at 42 or 44 cents, which would have been about $1.5 million to $2 million extra. And I asked the question to the city manager, what are you going to do with that extra 2 million? And he said, I don't know. And when he said, I don't know, that's why I voted for no new revenue, because he couldn't justify the additional 2 million. Just like it's been said, if you got extra money, you're going to put it somewhere. I'm not in favor of that. So that's my answer on that one. As far as well, I think I'm out of time, but animosity among the other community leaders, I think we just need to work together. It doesn't help to attack them when we don't agree with them. I think we just need to work together on that.
All right, Ms. Wilcox, did you want to address those questions as well?
Absolutely, I do. First of all, I'll be your friend, James. I'll be your friend no matter what. Okay, so I don't want any higher taxes. Okay, I don't know what the no new tax revenue rate is going to look like. I'll wait to see it, but don't raise my taxes. Can I try to get my income up first before y'all start taking more money from me, like most of the people that are around here? The average income is $86,000 in Hutto. If we keep raising taxes, we're going to be losing more people. So I didn't want to raise taxes. The other one was the D&I. Oh my gosh, I want to do it. I want to do it. I want to do it right. I want to do it better. We do need some diversity and inclusion in the city of Hutto. We do need to understand each other and figure out what we need, come to the table and actually have a positive, productive commission that the city stands behind. And I think the bones and the structure is there. We just need to get people who actually care about it and are vested in others. And then what was the last one? Oh, the animosity. I've been with Hutto ISD, the chamber, the city. I've worked with all of these people. They're amazing, great people. There's no reason to have any animosity. There's no reason to not like each other. Yes, you're colleagues, but you can still be nice and cordial, and yes, you can be friends. You know, I don't understand why you couldn't be. You can be friends and still make the right decisions. You can have disagreements and still be positive and productive.
Thank you.
Last time. All righty. And so I think we're gonna go ahead and move into closing statements. Is it 3 minutes each for that one? Oh no, I'm sorry. It's 2 minutes for closing statements. Yeah, just like from the opening. And also and I guess I'll give my closing statements first. It's been a pleasure speaking with you guys, and I did want to offer just as an individual that has had 2 separate businesses that each lasted more than 15 years apiece. I did turn 50 in December, so if I don't look like I've had 30 years worth of business experience, I'm not lying. But it's always been proven that work environments where individuals feel a personal connection to each other in some way, where you're just sharing, whether you're sharing information or you're just learning how other people learn, it just makes the working progress even better, the working environment better, and productivity goes up. So that's just the little nugget that you guys can take away. You don't have to be best friends, but you can kind of get a little closer. And I look forward to working with you guys again in the future. So thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure. And the 2 minutes for each person, let's mix it up a little bit. I'm going to let Miss Dana Wilcox go first, and go ahead with your closing statements.
Okay, so this is why you should vote for me. I have the experience, the knowledge, the rapport, and a record of trust in doing the right thing for Hutto and its citizens. I want the voice of all of our citizens to be heard. I will support and grow Hutto's small businesses, including the downtown district and those in the co-op. Continue to develop proper infrastructure to support Hutto's growth, maintain fiscal responsibility and transparency, and maintain oversight of the new developments coming into Hutto to ensure we maintain a sense of community and Hutto pride. And thank you for having me.
Yay. All right. So Mr. James Weaver, go ahead. You can go next.
Okay. I'd like to say I appreciate the candor and the discussion that we've had tonight, and I hope we have more of this in the future. I really do, and I'd like to talk to you later about some of the items that you brought up that maybe we can all work together on. Okay, and I'll get you my phone number and everything so you can call me and we'll see what we can set up. I think we do need to overhaul D&I, make sure it includes ADA. I'm not sure the ADA is included in there, and it probably under a lot of places would not be included. It would be included under ADA itself somewhere else, but I think we need it since we don't specifically have that. I haven't seen it anywhere. I would like to work in the getting the overhaul of the D&I and have included with it at that time ADA. If most of you probably know, I am not real quick to act. I want to get everything collected before I do make final evaluations and decisions. I like to collaborate with people. Just because I said we're not friends, we're co-workers. We got a job to do. We need to address it and get it done. And that once that's done and that's out of the way, fine. Maybe we can go out and have a beer. Maybe we can get together, play cards or whatever. But until we get the work done, I ain't a friend with nobody. Period. We want to make sure the job gets done, and to do it, we're going to have to work together, regardless of whether I like the way you do it or you like the way I do it. Doesn't matter. We get together and get the job completed. And that's basically what I was getting at earlier. Now, I would like to have the votes.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, and then we'll go ahead and move over to Mr. Gordon. If you want to go ahead and do your closing arguments.
All right.
Not arguments, I'm so sorry. Your closing statements. Take us out.
I'm not going to argue. You're good. So I just am grateful for this opportunity that you've given us to be able to come and to share with you some of our thoughts and you know, why we're asking for your vote, because that's really what we're all doing here. I think one of the pillars that I have kind of put my candidacy upon is servant leadership. I do as much as I can to serve within the community. I really think that's the way that we can connect best as a community. I don't really feel connected to the community when I'm up on the dais and I'm taking votes. I feel connected to the community when I go to the Shiloh Cemetery and I work side by side with my fellow citizens and help clean up a cemetery, or I help it keep Hutto beautiful, or I do these other things, right? And so I think that's really important, to have a sense of community to where we can offer service. I am grateful for the service that I've been able to provide as a city council member. I feel a lot more connected to the city than I did before. I hope that I can put another 3 years onto that. I know that Hutto is moving in the right direction. Are we perfect? Absolutely not. Do we do everything right? No, we don't. I am very open to hearing what we can do to improve and what I can personally do to improve. I'm looking forward to hopefully being able to serve another 3 years and continue that progress. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Marcus Coleman.
I'm waiting on her to give me my cue. Okay. So the reason you should vote for me is because I have a nice balance. I have experience in the areas that our city needs. I have an education that our city could utilize in a lot of different ways. And also I'm very observant, you know, so one of the things I did is I didn't come into the city with any of the, I'm going to bring Cleveland with me. No, this was your city before it was mine. So that's how I treated it from the moment that I got here. And one of the other things is that as a former college baseball player, I understand the value of teamwork. I understand the value of understanding that we all are going to see things differently, but we all have to find a common ground. But it's important that we grow with the city, and our demographic essentially is shifting towards a millennial demographic that's diverse, with people coming from all over. You know, Austin is a transport city, and Hutto is reflective of that. So it's important that we understand that we reflect the community that we serve. And I feel like my experience in bringing a happy, healthy Hutto and my pillars in the health community, as well as being on the EDC, and I'm big into emergency preparedness. And I just feel like I'm the right candidate for this position, but also moving forward for the next 20, 30, and 40 years of Hutto.
Very well. All right, Miss Sutton, looks like you're gonna bring us on home.
Bring it down. So I never intended on becoming a council member. Never was a goal, never anything. I've been here 24 years. I love my town, loved our hippos, loved my kids, got them through school. I think I'm at a time in my life where I have a voice that needs to be heard. It's not a voice that everybody wants to hear, because it's not always what they like to hear. I have an aversion to backing down out of fear, if that's to be said. I am going to be the one that's going to ask the hard questions, regardless of the criticism that's going to follow. I'm one that will always stand up for our history, and regardless of where Hutto is moving to, if we don't respect those that founded our city and created Hutto and brought us to where we're at today, we are ignoring our heritage. And our heritage started with a Black farm worker in Adam Orgain. So we have to respect that. And if we don't, then we're forgetting where we came from. And if we forget where we came from, we have no path to where we're going to go. We have to focus on restoring our downtown. We have to figure out a way to combine our exclusive history that makes us unique with redoing a development agreement with the co-op, and hopefully that can be done. And I'm just praying day to day that we can do that, and then wrap it up with what's going to happen at Fritz Park and make it a huge community park. We have so many opportunities and we are right there. And to say that we're
Time.
sorry. Okay. Thank
Sorry.
you. It's okay. It's okay, Anisha. Yeah.
You were so involved. I was
like, I
to
get
tell
so
you, but
wrapped
it's
up and
time.
I'm like, I'm a body talker if you haven't noticed. So
Yes. Love
Okay.
it.
I would like to give a closing, if you don't mind, Hope, before you
Yes.
close it all out. First, thank you guys so much for coming to this forum. We know that it's not always easy to the time commitment. We also know that it's not easy sometimes, not knowing the questions that you're going to be asked. So we appreciate you guys and your commitment to serving and wanting to run to serve the community. We would like to remind you that Black Families of Hutto is having certain events coming up. We have an appreciation event to our community members, our partners, and our volunteers. It is also a fundraiser that's coming up on next week on Wednesday, the 26th. So if you would like to attend, we would like to see you there. Please purchase a ticket. And we will be honoring other community members like Peter Gordon for his work that he's done with Keep Hutto Beautiful and also with the Shiloh Cemetery. And so we would love for the community to come see the people who work really hard in the organization and our partners. We are also going to be having Juneteenth this year, and we're doing fundraising for that. Generally, we'll be having t-shirt sales soon. And we also are raising funds because we like to try to continue to give scholarships out to our high school students and to keep having Juneteenth because we are grassroots volunteers. And so I would like to also thank Hope for volunteering her time tonight, and really, really appreciate you coming through. We had a moderator and the other moderator wasn't able to make it, so Hope stepped in. And please understand this from Onisha. Yes, it's in my heart for our city to be this model city. And I do believe, like when Dana was saying the response to the D&I Commission, I believe that was all in good faith with the leaders who were at the table. And I would like for us to restore that good faith so that we can be an exemplary city and not a city where we might have this cloud over us, whether it's infighting or whatnot or lawsuits. And so I hope that everyone on this call that hears us can commit to that by committing to those hard conversations or committing to making sure that we vote and committing to make sure that we figure out ways that we have those commonalities for our city. If we can all unite under the hippos, we can all unite. If we're all hippos, we can all do the work. And so thank you so much. And I'm going to turn it back over to Hope.
Great.
And I'm not I'm not the
Yes.
only person on the Social Action Commission. So there are many other people on the Social Action subgroup. I know y'all talk to me a lot, but we all come together and we collaborate. And it is our arm to try to keep our city servants accountable. So thank you.
Awesome. Yes, I mean, it's just pretty amazing to be so close to watching the city of Hutto be formed, watching it grow. I mean, I remember the area when there was no such thing as Hutto, and now here it is, and now there's a city council being, all of this is pretty amazing to watch all of this stuff happen. And I have been working with families that are living in Hutto and surrounding areas as far as parole officers, judges, or caseworkers with some of the youth that, you know, cross our paths. So to be able to hear you guys' voices and hear your vision for the city is pretty amazing. I've had one side of the view thus far, and now I get this other input here. So this has been pretty awesome. And I'm telling people on the street all the time, get involved in local politics, get out and vote, share your thoughts, go to meetings, if it's on a Zoom meeting, or get the recording. And so being able to watch all these things actually play out in real time is pretty awesome. And I'm beating the streets, you know, telling people to, you know, be more involved. So hopefully, you know, we'll get more people coming out doing stuff. So you guys be encouraged. Keep doing the work that you're doing. It's pretty amazing. And I'm championing you guys out in the community.
Thank you so much.
Thanks all the community.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you guys.
Bye,
Y'all have a good night.
Good night.
Okay, good night.